and we take that focus off of ourselves, because it's really not about us. It's about the people that we serve. So it's about your, like for you wonderful women, it's about right now, it's about your audience, right? It's not about you. It's about what your audience is going to get out of your conversations and the guests that you choose to bring in. I can't be so worried about how I'm going to be perceived. I need to focus on those people and show up for them. Even though you do need to worry about your branding and you need to have your headshots and all that good stuff, we focus the attention on your clients or your customers or your audience. And if you don't show up, they're not going to get the help that they need or the guidance that they need.
Welcome to the Happy Soul Podcast. My name is Melissa, and this is Sammy. We are diving deep into conversations that connect and inspire. Stories of resilience, triumph, and transformation. Stories that take us to the heart of human connection. Please note that opinions of our guests do not necessarily reflect those of this podcast. Please listen with your kindness and an open mind. Each story shared is authentic and vulnerable. Let's embrace our differences with empathy, knowing every voice enriches us. Together, let's cultivate a community of respect and curiosity. Thank you for listening. Now sit back, relax, and prepare to be inspired.
Welcome to the Happy Soul Podcast, everybody. Today we are here chatting with Christine Blosdale, who is coming in all the way from Australia, and we are super jacked to interrupt the middle of her afternoon at the end of our day to have this beautiful conversation with her. Christine coaches women specifically on how to ultimately find their power, find what they're passionate about, to zone in on their zone of genius, which maybe I shouldn't say it that way, to hone in on their zone of genius. And it's really incredible hearing the way that she speaks about her clients, speaks about the work that she's doing. I don't know, Melissa, what are you excited to chat with Christine about today?
I just think Christine is she is just such a wonderful person, and the passion that she has for helping people grow and discovering, like you said, as she's called it, the zone of genius. I just think it's so cool. She's just got so many amazing things to say. We're going to talk about imposter syndrome. We're going to talk about going after your passions and discovering kind of how you can shift your business around. And I just think she's a wonderful person, and you guys are just going to love her. So
yes, honestly, we can't wait for you to listen to Christine and our conversation with her. She's going to really, really, if you need some help claiming your power, Christine's your girl. And
fire you up.
And she's gonna, did you say power you up? Is that what you said?
Fire you up.
Fire
she's
you
gonna
up.
Fire you up. Yeah.
She's going to fire you up. So we just can't wait.
Wonderful.
So thank you so much. Welcome, Christine.
Let's do it.
When we chatted in our discovery call, whatever you want to call it, we were a little bit of what we talked about was just how you're helping people, and I really want to get into that, but I think I want to backtrack for you, because we talked a lot about for yourself how you kind of got to this space of empowering people and helping people to, specifically women, discover their power, how that started for you, and overcoming imposter syndrome for yourself. Can you take us back and just tell us how this whole journey about working with women specifically and helping them discover their inner power kind of came to be?
Quite simply, I was really raised by two amazing women. My mother, who my parents divorced when I was 2, so I lived with my mom from 2 to 4, 5 o'clock, 5 years old, and so I was constantly just told how amazing I was and how much she loved me. And then when I went to live with my father, my grandmother really kind of stepped into that role, that mother role. My grandmother loved me. She was 100 years old. I went to her birthday party, and she goes really loud because she couldn't hear. She goes, "You are always my favorite." And I'm like, "Shh, Grandma, my cousins are here. Your other grandkids are here. She's on the favorite thing." And she's like, "What?" She's like, "Everybody knows." So I was raised by two really powerful, loving women. And with my mom, because when I was really little, when I was when I was 4 years old, she'd have to work, 'cause she was single parent, did not get the alimony or child support. Ugh. And so she had to work a nighttime job, and she'd be getting ready, and she'd be putting on her makeup. My mother was shockingly beautiful, right? Stunning. uh and she looked like Cher, kind of. As a kid, people, they thought she was Cher, and I think they thought I was Chastity. I don't know. It was just like, who's this kid? But she was like so beautiful, and she'd getting ready, and she'd putting her makeup on, and she'd have some music on, and she'd be putting her clothes, and she'd go, "What do you think about this outfit? Does this top go with this, or what about my shoes?" And I'd stand there and I'd go, no, you know what? That top doesn't go with the boots. I think you need to wear the white high, the boots that are like up to your knee, those kind of the go-go boots. You need to wear that and switch that wig out for this. And she would listen to me, and she would take my opinion, my fashion. I was like the Gordon Ramsay of fashion. I was very blunt, and I would be like, "No, that doesn't work." And she would change, and she would,
Oh my
"Oh, okay, you
gosh.
think this would be better?" And she would change, and she goes, "How do I look now?" I go, "Oh, excellent." Mwah." My mother was French Moroccan, so I'd like, oh, I'd say something in French. I don't know French anymore, but I used to, and so she would change, and that taught me at a really young age that my taste, my opinion mattered. It mattered so much that people would do things that I said would. So I think being a coach and being able to look at, especially women's business, their brand, right? And it's not about how you look. It's not about what you're wearing. It's about the energy that you're putting out and the feelings that people who come across your content, your podcast, your videos, your books, who read your books, that they get they get that energy and they get you, right? And so really it started when I was extremely young. And along the way, I had imposter syndrome, as everybody does from time to time. And I've learned how to deal with it, and I teach my clients how to overcome it. But just know that it happens to a lot of people. People who have degrees up the wazoo, who are very successful, and beginners. It happens to people of all stripes. And so yeah, so that's a little bit of an answer to your question, your first question.
Oh,
Oh
that's
my gosh, I love that so much. I almost cried here, Christine, because as
Here, wait,
as
wait, you gotta see this. So, people who are listening to this, you can't see it, so that way you have to like find the video of it,
yeah.
right? On YouTube.
yeah, it'll be on, well,
Yeah.
it'll be on Spotify, YouTube, Apple. Video goes on
You
all
can
of
see the
them.
video on Spotify. Is that you and your mom?
Oh,
That's
Christine.
me and my mom.
She does look like Cher.
that's fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
That's
I'm
my
tearing
mom.
up a little too.
That's me, little tomboy, little kid.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
gosh.
I love
Christine,
that
Yeah.
so much.
I don't know if you
And
can
my
see
mom
this.
was
but
so
this is-
beautiful for back in the day. She would cause, like, guys would crash their cars because they'd be looking at her and not looking at what they were driving.
Oh
So
my
beautiful. Like,
Aw.
and she had that thick French accent. So people say, "Where are you from?" And she, "Oh, me, I am from Casablanca, from North Africa." People would just go, "Oh my god."
Oh my gosh. I love
And
this
also,
so-
especially back then, it was like less common for people to have immigrated somewhere and
Oh,
be there.
Yeah.
So like she stood out for so many different reasons.
Oh
my
my
mother's
God.
name was Lucette. Okay,
Oh my gosh.
and
I have a
and
cousin named
you,
Lucette. Keep going.
really,
Yeah.
nobody's called Lucette, but you need to call you needed to call her Lucette, which is very French. Um, but in America, when she came, it was a time where it was not cool to be foreign. It was not cool to be from Morocco. It was just, so they called her. What my dad's side of the family would call her Lucy, and she hated that. She was like, "My name is not Lucy. Like, I'm not that lady on the TV." She's like,
Oh
"It's
my.
Lucette." So
Oh,
yeah, so you never call her Lucy.
I love it.
I
I
love
love
the way
her.
you speak about your mother.
Ah,
Beautiful.
It's
It's
making
beautiful.
it's tearing me up too because
Well-
I have a close relationship with my mom who's also French and there she is.
oh,
It's so funny when you
so
brought up the
you
picture of your mom.
understand.
I'm like, there's my mom.
So you
It's
get
so
it.
funny. I do
You
get it.
understand.
I do.
And they
I
always
do.
wonder why you're not. Why don't you speak French? Why don't you? Because America, they teach it out of you.
Right?
You're not supposed to be speaking other languages.
Oh man.
I was
Oh,
gonna say what was
we could go on a full
Girl.
tangent there. I got stories. Keep going, Sammy, though. I won't take us down that tangent, but we could go there.
see now I'm curious what this tangent is, but
I could tell you really quick.
okay, go.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I grew up in this. Sammy and I both grew up in this tiny little town in southern Alberta, and to totally date myself, she was also a single mom with me until I was 8, so it was just her and I, and we spoke nothing but French in the house to each other, just the two of us. So when it was time for me to go to school, she started kind of, and she's a leader. She's like I'm going to make change happen. So she tried to get one of the schools in town to grow into a French immersion program. And we were in this tiny little redneck town, and the newspaper published her name and phone number, and she got threatening phone calls to her house because of how insulted people were. And I remember being at the grocery store with my mom, just her and I, and she was very conscious about not being rude about when we spoke French to each other. So if we're in a group of people, never would we speak French to each other because people wouldn't understand. But it was just the two of us, we would speak French to each other. And I have a memory of somebody coming up to us in the grocery store and telling us to speak white to each other.
Whoa, Jesus.
You weren't ready for that one, huh?
No.
Yeah. So now, fast forward 30 years, right? I'm 42. So fast forward that amount of time, that school is now a French immersion school.
Oh my God.
It had
They owe your mother. They
Right.
owe her an apology and money.
Right? It had nothing to do with her. It just was the way the town evolved. And now it is a very multicultural community. You wouldn't know that now. Like,
I mean, there's
now
still a few redneck ones.
I mean,
Going on
it is
that
still
town.
red. There's still
I'm related
redneck.
to a few.
There's
Speak
still redneck.
white.
There's still, right? But that was pretty extreme. But anyways,
Wow.
that's the tangent.
Oh my God.
Wild, hey? Yeah.
That's wild.
Love it. I love that story.
I was just gonna say what I really loved about what you were talking about, Christine, there, what was beautiful to me was hearing the way the things that those little things that your mom did. Like, your mom probably didn't realize the power she was giving you by allowing you to choose her clothing and allowing you to do those things. And I'm sure for you, and I want to ask you a deeper question on this, but when you're working with women who didn't grow up with somebody empowering them that way, it's probably really hard for them to overcome that imposter syndrome and believe in themselves and believe that they have value to add, because it's not innate as innate and bred into you when you weren't, that wasn't spoken to you that way. And it made me emotional because I do that with my daughter. She'll pick out my jewelry when I'm getting dressed. She'll pick out, we go shopping and she'll pick out a dress and those things. And I never considered the power that was giving her until you just said that. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Yay. I did that.
You're raising a little future leader there.
Which is,
it is those small things, and it gives your kids the confidence that their opinion mattered. Because I'm much older than the two of you, and I grew up in a time where, kids were like, you're supposed to be seen and not heard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so our voices were really sort of stifled. But in my mom's house, my mom was also the person who who knew I don't know how she knew that this would be my thing. For Christmas one time, I was probably 10, and I still got the I've got the photo of it. I've got the Polaroid. I'm sitting in front of the Christmas tree, and you would have thought I got a bike or a horse or, a pony or a puppy, but I got it was from Radio Shack, and it was a cassette recorder, a little cassette recorder. And I thought it was the most amazing thing ever. I was so excited, and this photo of me holding this little cassette recorder, I'm like, I'm so excited. And I would record little messages and leave it for her, so when she came home at 1-2 o'clock in the morning from work, she would hear my stories, and I'd say, I ate macaroni tonight, whatever I was doing. And it started me on this journey of loving the art of interview, loving audio. So podcasting, I was a radio uh, uh, broadcaster for 20 years, and it all started with that little cassette recorder. So, and she didn't have a lot of money, so she couldn't afford the pony, and we couldn't have a dog, but she was able to tap into something that I didn't even know I really wanted or needed. But when I got it, I was like, oh my God. I couldn't believe that I got this cool recorder. And she started me on that whole path. Thanks, Mom.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you,
no
Mom.
kidding. That is amazing.
Yeah. I like it's so that's incredible to hear, and it's incredible to hear those little things that empowered you so much to push you on the trajectory of what you've gone down and the things that you've done is really incredible. So, Melissa, do you have a question? Because otherwise, I want to jump.
We
on
might
what
be
I
on
was
the
just
same
asking.
page. Go, jump on what you're going to go for, because we might be on the same page.
Okay, what I want to ask is for with growing up with that empowering mentality, and when you come to work with someone who is really facing that imposter syndrome, how is it that you help them work through that? What is it like? How do those? How, can you give us an example of how a
Yeah.
conversation with someone might go? And I want to just add this in before you say something. Is I remember posting something on social media once. It was a personal story, and I kind of like apologized when I was saying it, and I said something like, I'm not trying to get attention. I'm not trying to get sympathy. I'm sharing this for my own reason. And somebody sent this message that I don't think she realized how heavy this message sat with me, but it was something, I'm going to butcher the way she said it, but it was something to the effect of, if people think that they shouldn't take up space, it's because they grew up not believing that they had that they were allowed to take up space or something like that. And it's like, kids, you were allowed to take up space is basically what she was saying. And I was like, oh my gosh, what? And it was just like, it was life changing. This one sentence for me as an adult, this was like 3 years ago, that I was like, I'm allowed to take up space? What? And
She
so
tapped
like,
into something. Yeah.
yeah, so I want to ask that for you when you're working with people who say those kinds of things and really struggle to believe in themselves. Like how do those conversations go? Is
Yeah.
what I want to ask you.
So it's twofold. Um, Number one, even though it's not done intentionally, I become that parent that sees the genius in their child for my client without it being weird. Okay. Without it being weird, but I can see things that they don't see, right? I have a client right now, she's in my accelerator program, which means basically we work every single week together, we have sessions together, and she's a genius when it comes to um, AI programs, coming up with like, she's a content machine. She's genius. She has a bit of ADHD, so she's kind of like all over the place. But we're bringing her in, and we're focusing on her brand and everything. But she has a bit of that imposter syndrome that so many people have, and it's like, can I really make money doing this? Are people really going to be interested in this? Who am I? Who am I to help people out? Or, I'm not. I haven't studied this forever. No, no, no. Your zone of genius does not have to be something that because you got a degree on the wall. Your zone of genius comes from life, from experiences, and your passion. What you're passionate about is your zone of genius. So I just am so grateful and lucky to be able to look at somebody. I look at what they've done. I look at maybe their website, or just they have to let me into the world a little bit, but I can see what those gems are, right? And we take those gems and we put them in the crown for them. The second thing, so it's two parts. The second thing is we work on that imposter syndrome by focusing not on ourselves and what people will think. Oh, what are people going to say? Um, they're going to judge me because how I look on the video. I'm too old. I'm too fat. I'm too this. I'm too that. And we take that focus off of ourselves because it's really not about us. It's about the people that we serve. So it's about like for you wonderful women, it's about right now, it's about your audience, right? It's not about you. It's about what your audience is going to get out of your conversations and the guests that you choose to bring in, right? So it's the same thing if I'm a coach, if I'm a fitness coach and I want to start my fitness coach business. I can't be so worried about how I'm going to be perceived. I need to focus on those people and show up for them, because if I don't show up, they're not going to become healthier, happier individuals. So we do a shift basically. Even though you do need to worry about your branding and you need to have your headshots and all that good stuff, it's we focus the attention on your clients or your customers or your audience. And if you don't show up, they're not going to get the help that they need or the guidance that they need. So that's the two ways that we work with that.
So good.
Oh, you're all
I just
quiet. What happened?
seriously, when you said that, I was like, my mic was muted, which is probably good because I was audibly, that was like, that hit me right in my spine when you said that. That is so
Synapses
good.
just kind of go.
Seriously, that is so freaking good. Like, what a powerful statement. I
But
love
it's
that so
true.
much. Go ahead,
It
Sam.
is true.
And people even with who are very successful CEOs experience imposter syndrome. It can be something that a family member said when you were 5, or a kid on the playground in the sandbox said to you,
Yes,
right? Those
100%.
stories, they play over in our heads and at the worst opportune times. I mean,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, you're asked to speak to a large group, or you're asked to do a job that you are not familiar with. Imposter syndrome will pop up always. Yeah.
Totally. And I had a conversation once with somebody who was talking about how, like, you will always look for the evidence of it too. Like, so something like imposter syndrome. Now, step in here, correct me if I'm on a wrong track here, but it grows, right? Like somebody said something to you when you were 5 and it kind of stuck with you. And then somebody else says something to you when you're 18 and the snowball gets bigger. And then you find yourself, if you're not careful, inadvertently looking for the evidence of what they're saying and proving that statement to be true instead of your own statement to be true. Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have quite a few clients, and they're all over the world, but I have a few that are neurodiverse and ADHD, and with that, they're getting 20,000 messages that they're not good enough, that they're stupid, that they're not paying attention. All those messages. So when they're going through life trying to do things or be successful, they hit one stumbling block, or they forget to, oh, I forgot to do this. I forgot to call back. Oh, it's because you're stupid. That comes up. Now, that can come up with people who are not neurodivergent, right? But not as often. And so, what I find too, a lot of folks that are ADHD, on the spectrum, they're extremely talented. And what keeps them from coming out into the world and sharing their gifts a lot of times are those negative messages that are being repeated. It's on a loop. And so we just need to break through from that. And we do that with baby steps, and we do that with reminding who, again, taking it away from us. We need to focus on the people that we want to serve, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is so good.
Yeah. I mean, I love that. I've heard that a few times, and I'm not saying that like I've heard that before. I just mean like I've heard that a few times, and I remember, and it's something to be constantly reminded of, is that it's not about you, it's about the people that you're serving, whatever that may be. But I think every time you hear it, it's such a solid reminder of like stop thinking about yourself, stop worrying about yourself. Like ultimately, and this sounds really harsh, but it's like you're being selfish by worrying about yourself because you have all this power to give to somebody else, right? But it's just what our brains do. We think everyone's judging us. We think everybody cares about us, and we don't.
Yeah.
We don't care about other people the same way we think people care about us. So it is like a really,
And
it
when you
makes
go,
me. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I was gonna say when you go through that gauntlet, when you go through that uncomfortable feeling, and you do focus on your clients, your audience, whoever you're doing your thing for, and you go through it, you might even find that it takes you to a completely different place that you really need to be. My big thing with imposter syndrome that I had that changed my life was, for the longest time when I went from AOL, worked for America Online, and then MSN, and then I went into to broadcasting. But I was a producer, I was a writer, and I was behind the scenes, right? And that moment when they said, Christine, the host of the drive time show, is not able to make it. They're sick or they broke their foot. I don't know what it was. They're not able to make it. You need to go on the air. And I was like, no, I'm not going on the air. I'm behind the scenes, Christine, and I do the writing and all that stuff, but I'm not prepared. I'm not ready to go on the air. What are people going to think? What are people going to say? I didn't even like my own voice at that time. I was like, oh God, who's going to want to listen to me? All the imposter stuff,
What?
right? All the imposter stuff. I've never done this before. I don't know what I'm doing. People are going to make fun of me, right? All those things. And basically, I didn't have a choice. They were like, you have to go on because people are going to be tuning in for this show. It's drive time Los Angeles, right?
Oh,
You have to. We have nothing else we can do. So reluctantly, I got into the studio. It was dark. I pulled the microphone next to my face. I looked at the engineer through the glass, and I was like, okay, like let's try it. I don't know. The on-air light went on, and my whole life changed. Everything. As soon as that on-air light went on, I just started talking, and I knew what to say, and I connected with the audience, even though I couldn't see them, I couldn't hear them. I even opened up the phone lines. Said, "Come on, let's talk." That's right, because I didn't have a show ready to go, so I was just like, "Let's try this," and that began my career. 20 years in broadcasting, and then I became a podcaster, and then I became, and I raised millions of dollars for the station. It was a nonprofit station. I raised millions and millions of dollars for the station to stay on the air so that other programs, and again, it's because I knew it was important for the station to be alive so that the programming there was gay and lesbian programming, there was Native American programs, there was Spanish language programs. All those shows needed to be heard, but they needed me to get on the mic and rattle the cup, right, and ask for those donations. So when you in other words, the moral of the story is if you can step through that imposter syndrome, the freak out, and the uncomfortableness of it, you never know what's on the other side, right? You never know.
oh, that's
And I was going to say, especially if it's something that's calling to you, but in this case for you, it wasn't calling to you. You weren't like, I'd love to. I mean,
I was
based on
kicking
what
and
you said-
screaming, going, "No!"
shoved into it.
No,
My
yeah. And then
Yeah, I
but
was like,
you
"No,
liked
it's not
it.
going to happen." No,
Loved it. Oh my gosh.
My
You know
palms were sweating when you were telling that story. I was like, oh my gosh. Like, I can only imagine.
You know what?
Like,
I have two things I want to say, and then I'll ask you a question. But sorry, Melissa, I'm totally interrupting you. But
no, that's fine. I have mine noted up here. Go ahead.
is one when we were talking about like those negative things that people say. It always makes me think of that scene in Pretty Woman when they're like lying in bed cuddling, and he says something nice to her, and she just says the bad stuff is easier to believe, and I'm like, it's true.
Wow.
It is true.
Mm-hmm.
It is true.
What just
Ooh,
happened to
my
your
lights
lighting?
just flickered. There's
That
a
was
storm
God.
coming.
Do you have the storm too? See?
Yes.
There's storms coming through our area too, so
Oh my
we'll see what
gosh.
happens. But what you were just saying, I had this thought last night, and what you just said was like, oh my gosh, yes. And it was the more choice we have, the less pushed we are to do things. It's almost like the harder those things are to do. And I don't mean like the
Yes.
physical act of doing them, but like if you were just to sit there and they'd be like, hey, Christine, do you want to go on the air today? And you would be like, no, nope. And then there was a choice. There was a choice behind it. You could let all of that disbelief, all of that fear, all of that stuff talk you into not doing it. And they'd be like, okay, this person will go on. That's fine. But there was no choice for you. So even though you had that negative self-talk, even though you had that imposter syndrome, even if you didn't believe it was going to be good, there was no choice. And so you were forced into this. And I think when we have that choice, whatever it is, whether it's to choose to eat more nutritious food, whether it's choose to go for a walk, whether it's to choose to start our business, whether it's to choose to go to bed on time, whatever it is, when there's the choice instead of the force, it's like, it's almost harder to make that happen because you have a choice in it.
Well,
But there's
and then-
always going to be that little nudge,
Yeah.
right? The other big issue that I had with imposter syndrome was at that same radio station. Uh, there was issues with management, and they needed to get rid of this. They got rid of the manager of a major radio station, and the executive director came to me one day and said, "Hey, uh, would you like to be the general manager of the station just for a couple weeks because we're in a
Oh,
transitional period?" And I go, and I'm like, what? I go, I said, I'm a producer and a host, and I don't know how to manage a major radio station. Do you know how much is involved with a radio station and all the people that are there's volunteers and there's technicians and there's legal stuff. And he goes, it's just for a couple weeks. And he said, you know why we're coming to you is because we went around and we asked everybody, who do you trust?
I'm
And again,
sorry.
so
What?
so
For
so
those not
before,
watching, our jaws dropped.
yeah. So before I was saying the imposter syndrome. You're not you're not set up for this. You don't know what you're doing. This is a major station. How dare you think that you could even manage a station? And then all of a sudden comes in the thing of the staff, the people that work here actually trust you to hold the baby. And so I was like, okay, I guess so. I said, I don't know the first. It's okay, it's okay. Do you know what? That couple of weeks or few days that was supposed to be, it turned out to be an entire year. It was one of the best years of my life because I got thrown into a situation that I had to learn. I had to rely on people that knew what they were doing. I had to expand my synapses and learn things and Excel files. I'm not an Excel file person, but I had to learn budgets. I had to learn these things, and I did my best. And people knew that I was doing my best, so they weren't as that criticism didn't come. If anything, it was like, "Thank you for holding the ship, together while we figured things out." So it was a full year that I was the general manager of that station.
Dang.
So when you have the option, and I could have said no. Now, if I said no, those people that did trust in me, they might be let down. But also, you don't know who would have came in and what they would have done. It's like the United States presidency at the moment. We don't, we could have had Kamala.
It's a whole topic, Christine. That's a whole
Shit.
That's all I'm
topic.
saying. I'm in
No.
Australia, so I'm okay.
Yeah, yeah. Same here. Same here. We're in Canada, so so far
Cheers.
so good. So far so good. I want to ask you when you're talking about. Sorry, Melissa. I'm just like
Go. No,
all
you're
over
you're
here.
good. I'm noting. We're
When
good.
you were talking earlier about helping people find their zone of genius, what would you say is yours?
Oh, I love to create. I'm just a creation machine. I never worry about coming up with ideas for things because if anything, it's too many ideas, and that's why I have to coach other people because I would be going crazy just creating books and podcasts and videos and everything. I would be like going crazy, so I need to channel that into my clients and get them creating content. Yeah. That's probably my zone of genius.
I think that is so darn beautiful, and I also have to explain why Sammy and I were laughing so hard just then because I just sent her a message today. And I was like, Sammy, I got another one. I know my brain comes up with ideas faster than I can keep up to them. And it comes up with ideas faster than I can actually do them or even know if I have the capacity for them. It's always happening. Anyway, so that
No, you
coming up with
understand.
ideas. And I was like, yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I do.
Melissa, I think we're like little apple trees, and we producing all these apples, and even if somebody comes and takes all the apples, guess what? We can create more.
More apples. The more you
More apple
pick, the
trees.
more apples that come.
Exactly.
Yep. Yeah,
Exactly.
totally. I love
So
that.
when it came to creating your business now, where you're coaching people, how did you go from broadcasting to what was that shift for you? Where it was like, I want to shift to coaching people and helping other people find their own power.
Well, because I had been introduced to so many people throughout. I've probably conducted over easy over 1,000 interviews. I don't even know. I haven't. I never kept count, which I should have, because that would be really cool on my bio. Has
Yeah,
interviewed, has spoken to 3,000 notable people. But
totally.
throughout the years, you know, uh, I've been able to see people who have done it right, right, who are really good at their branding and their message, and then there are others, authors, thought leaders, some amazing people that I was like, again, that idea machine, that creator inside of me would be. I'd interview somebody, and then after the interview, off the air, I'd be like, have you written a book about this topic? And they're like, no, I've always wanted to, but I go, you need to write that book. And I said, and by the way, the title is,
And
and
this
by
is
the
the
way,
color, and this is the here's
and
your
from that you
font.
can create the system, and you can create courses, and you can, and they're like looking at me like, who are you? And I would give my advice away for free to all of these amazing, people that I encountered. And so I realized too that I love teaching people. I love showing them how to do things, right?
Mm.
Can I do things for them? Yes. Can I create your website? Yes, but I don't want to. Can I produce and create your podcast? Yes, I can, but I'd rather teach you how to do that. I'd rather show you how to do it so that I'm not bogged down with just your stuff and I can actually
Mm.
work with a lot of different people. And I love all my clients are from all over the world. So I love what I do. I dig it. It's a fun thing. I never get up in the morning and go, "Oh, oh, I've got a client." And I have to start early because I'm in Australia, so my day starts I get up about 5 and then my first clients are usually around 6 a.m.
That is so
So I
cool.
have to be perky at 6
So-
a.m. And I'm not a morning person.
But you know what? When you're showing up for
That's
something that
so
you're really
good.
excited to do, I feel like that adds to it,
Mm-hmm.
right? It adds
Yep.
to
1,000%.
being able to be perky for something you want to do versus something you don't want to do.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely. And then there's this thing called naps. You can take naps later in the
Naps,
day.
absolutely.
I was like,
I'm
what is that?
here
I
for
don't know what
naps.
that is.
You guys take naps?
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Isn't a nap great?
I love
Especially
naps.
when it's still daylight. You're like, I'm just gonna lay down for a little bit. You just take a nappy, and you feel so good afterward. As
I
long as you
used
can get
Sorry, go
the
ahead.
sleep that you need.
I used to be a personal trainer, so my days were I mean, I still am, but I only work one day a week now because I mostly chase my children. But when I was working before I had kids, and I'd have a day, and I'd be like an hour gap between clients. And I was like, well, I guess I'll just have a nap. Like, what else am I going to do in this hour? Like, I already worked out today. I already ate my lunch, so I'll just go have a nap. I used to just nap everywhere, all over the place.
Oh, it's
Anyways,
so good.
love
I'm
naps.
gonna vote for naps for everybody.
I am not as good at that.
So
You're not. You
I'm
need to
not.
take one.
You know what? I even tried today. I tried today and I laid down. I'm like, oh, I got to go change the laundry. I'll just change the
Oh,
laundry and then I'll come
right.
back. And then I lay down. I'm like, I should really unload the dishwasher first. And then I'll go have a nap. And then I lay down and then I can hear the kids playing. And I'm like, no, I should really be up there with them. It's like, and then I looked, I'm like, well, I guess it's time to make supper. So not happening.
It will
Anyway.
happen for you. It will happen for you. I
You
used to
gotta-
be like you, and then I turned 60, and I'm like, you know what? I'm taking a nap. I
I'm
don't
taking a
care.
damn
The house
nap.
burns down. You know what?
Nobody's going to stop me. I love it. I love it. So
I
good.
didn't grow out of naps from being a child, so it's fine.
I love it.
I always
So-
knew that stuff could wait. You go ahead, Melissa.
Okay, so you're broadcasting, and then tell us, like, so did you just like one day decide I'm going to do this, and just like was it like a slow transition, or were you just like,
Yeah, you transition.
I'm doing this?
Yeah, I like security, so
Mm.
I made sure that I had a transition period between working a full-time job, at a radio station, and doing the coaching. So I started off with just, one client here and there, and I would work either,
good.
I would do a lot of prep work either early in the morning or later in the afternoon or in the evening. I would do sessions in the evening. I would do a lot of stuff on the weekend. So I worked a lot in the beginning, and I would say probably a year and a half, I was just sort of building what I was doing. And I created the podcast before I even really expanded my coaching business. So I was sort of getting used to it. And then also with COVID, I that story. Um, so I was working for the station. I was starting my coaching business. That was getting busier and busier, and I knew eventually I was going to have to leave the station because my coaching business was taking over. And then COVID happened, and I was in Southern California living there. My wife, who was living in Australia, because I was going back and forth, she
Oh
said, "You got to
gosh.
come earlier. You need to book your flight quicker." I was supposed to come in April, I think, of 2020, and in March 18th, I know the date. She said, "You need to book your flight earlier," and I was, no, you know how hard that is to do that, blah 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 blah. And I checked my flight, and it was completely erased from the world. Um, yeah, Virgin Airlines, it took it right
Oh
off
my
the screen.
gosh.
And so I called up the partner airline. I was like, "What's happening? I got to get to my wife and our kids, our two kids." And they said, Australia has said they're going to shut the border hard, and they're going to do it tonight.
Oh my
And
God.
yeah, and I was like, "Oh, really?" I thought this was just the flu. What's going on with the world? And they go, "Yeah, no, there's no flights. There's one left, and it's today from LAX, and it's a couple hours. Do you want it?" And I was like, my brain didn't know how to compute it because I was looking around my house, and I had dishes in the sink and all my photos, and I said yes, and she booked it,
Oh my God.
and I got a friend to take me to the airport. The airport was like almost empty, which in Los Angeles that never happens. It's one of the busiest airports in the world, and it was like a ghost town. It was like a weird movie. It was like one of those movies, those end of the world movies that you see, and you're like, that could never happen. Yeah, it did.
It did.
But I got on the flight, and I landed in the evening, probably like 9 or 10 o'clock at night, and at midnight they shut the border.
Wow.
So I was
just
here.
about fell over. Christine.
Yeah. So I was
What?
here. And so eventually, even though I could still do some broadcast,
my
because of course the first thing I grabbed was my microphone and my computer.
Yeah.
I didn't think about anything else, toiletries or anything. I was like, I need my mic, I need my computer, because I can do that anywhere. I can record shows, I could do anything that way. So I did bring that, and I got to work for, almost, well, I don't even know if it was a full year from here. It was for a long time. I got to work from here. And then the radio station, because I wasn't there, they just said, and so I said, okay, goodbye. But by that point, COVID, remember, everybody was upskilling. Women were starting their own business like crazy because everybody was at home. It's like, what am I going to do? And so I was very busy during that time in COVID. But yeah,
Wow.
I'd be talking to you from Southern California. Well, I don't know if that would have happened. By now, I would have been here, probably.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
I know.
Yes, I'll take that plane. I would love to hear.
Bananas.
I know you touched on in our initial conversation. You touched on like how you and your wife met, and man, I would love to touch on that story. But I really want to talk about you today and how you help women, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
But
I want to know more.
I know, me too. I want to ask how do people find you then, Christine?
The best way is just to go directly to my website, and they can see all the different stuff the things that I do. They can book a discovery call with me too, a free chat. Oh, it's a short amount of time, but in that short amount of time, again, I can take a look at your brand, what you're doing. I can give you some direction or where I would go if it was my business. And that's at expertauthoritycoach.com. So that's the best way to get in touch with me. There's a button there to click for a free discovery call. And you can see all my books that I have, the podcasts, all the different things. It's all there
So cool.
in that one space.
And we'll
Expert
pop
Authority
it in the
Coach.
show notes too.
Absolutely.
Gorgeous.
That was not me cashing out this conversation. I just had a lead in for another question for that one. But
No, I love it. And I like that you do it. You know what? Don't do it at the end. To do it and even move that up in the beginning of the show because it's always good to get that out. in
Yeah.
the early time than as opposed to at the end of the
Totally.
program.
Totally.
Totally.
That was just
Totally.
happenstance. It was not intentional, I'll be honest. I wasn't some stroke of brilliance. But I wanted to ask, people find you. Once somebody finds you, is generally the first thing you do with someone a discovery call? Is that usually what most people do first?
Yeah. So I need to learn about you. I need to know, who you are, what you're doing, and also if I like you, if I want to
Mm-hmm.
work with you. I you know we're we're all professional women here. We're at a point in our lives where we also can choose who we work with. Maybe when you're
Yes,
in your
ma'am.
20s, you can't choose the people that are your coworkers, or
Mm-hmm.
your managers and stuff like that. But now we're at a point in our lives where it's like, no, you know what? I want to just work with people that I really dig.
Yeah.
So it's a great
Yes.
time. It's a great opportunity to meet and to also to find out what you're doing and if there's other things that you could be doing to get even more customers or more clients. Right? That's the thing. It's about growing and expanding. So that's the best way to start off. And I can find out if you got imposter syndrome too. That's fun.
Okay, Melissa, I have so many questions. So if you
You
wanna
go
pipe in
go
here,
ahead.
because I'm
I
just
will
like running the
jump
show.
in. No, I will
Sorry.
jump in when I need to. I'm just yeah, keep going. You're
Just
okay.
off the top of your head, Christine, what is like the best client story you can think of like someone who really struggled and has really gone somewhere? Or it doesn't have to be obviously like for anybody listening. If you're one of her clients,
Mm.
don't be offended. This is just like off the top of her head, but
I have so many. I have so many stories that I really love. I have one that a dear client of mine and who's become a close friend. All my clients, have great friendships with my clients, so it's not just a business transaction. Um, is Julia Loggins, who Julia used to be married to Kenny Loggins, if that name sounds familiar.
Does.
She was married many moons
footloose.
ago. Footloose, and
Okay.
I met her in in California, and she had a small but thriving practice, colon hydrotherapist, right? She'd been doing colon hydrotherapy for years and years and years and years and years.
Okay.
And if you know what colon hydrotherapy is,
Don't.
anyone who's a practitioner of that is an angel sent from God, because it's not it's like nurses. It's like you're amazing. I don't know how you do it, but you're amazing. So that's how I met her originally, and I was looking at her bit because again, I'm that kid. That's the person I am. I'm looking at the business. I'm looking at like how much time she has to invest in each client, each patient, each person that comes in. I'm like, okay, that's like 2 hours of your time. One person. She's only, she's making X amount of dollars. She didn't charge a fortune or anything like that. And then she would at the end she would say, for your gut health, because she was all about gut health. She's like, you want to think about for your gut health to increase your protein, and then there's these things that you can take, enzymes to help your digestion, and they were all other people's products, but she was saying these are some things that I recommend, and you could get them right there. I was like, okay. And so again, my mind, and she had a book that she had written that was, I think, on her shelf too. And I was like, why don't you have a line of products? And that way you're not selling other people's things, but you're selling your own product line. And I said, you've got a really good name. I go, didn't you earn that name, Julia Loggins, being married to Kenny for so many years? She goes, yeah, I did. I sure did. I said, well, put your name on it. Put your name on the products and put your beautiful face on there, because she's like exudes health and energy. She's in her 60s and she looks amazing. And I'm like, put your healthy face on there with the juice, all what. And so we co-created. I helped her get the products together. Now she is okay. So now she's got her product line, a whole line of goodies that help people with digestive, gut health, diverticulitis, whatever. She helps people all around the world. She is making a good living. She's on TikTok. She's got like a gazillion followers. She's killing it. And it's all because of the fact that we took a look at like this little business that she was very happy doing and loved what she was doing, but now she can help people on a much bigger scale, right? All around the world.
So
And that's success to me. And she's doing it on her own terms. So she works when she wants to work. She's on the TikTok lives when she wants to be, and she's loving it. And she's getting people happier and healthier. And I mean, how how can you say that that's a bad thing, right? Helping other people. And she's an angel. If you ever meet her, she's an absolute angel. You got to follow her if you can. If you're on the TikToks, she's on Facebook and everything, and Instagram too. But I love seeing her on TikTok because she goes live, and she helps a lot of people. So that's probably one of my top client stories.
How does that make you feel? Thinking that your little conversation there did that.
It needed to be.
Oh, yes.
Do you know?
Yes, totally.
It needed to
Totally.
happen. And again, she didn't have that. Luckily, she didn't have that imposter syndrome. She just didn't know that it was possible. Because when I said let's
So cool.
you could do the private labeling thing. You could just ask these companies if you can use the products and have your own brand on it. And she's like, you could do that? And I was like, yeah, you can just ask. If they say no, they say no.
Yeah.
And she asked, and they were like, we'd be happy to do that. They probably
That's
knew that they were going to sell more that way as
Yeah.
well,
yeah.
right?
That's
So
so smart.
it's the thing is that she trusted my opinion. It's like my mom. She says, so should I wear this? Right? So you think we should do this? Yes, I think we should.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow. And when you give advice like that, like I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but when you give advice to that, it sounds like it is just coming from like a deep knowing. Like you just like have this, like it sounds like it's coming from like this real confident place. Like
It's
you
the
have
intuitive.
confidence
Yeah,
in,
it's the goosebumps. I call them the Blosdale bumps. I don't know why.
yes.
I work
That's
very
what I'm titling
intuitively.
your episode.
What?
Yes.
The Blosdale bumps?
Yes.
It was going to be Zone of Genius, but the Blosdale bumps.
There you go.
It's good. It's good.
I work intuitively, but I don't market myself as an intuitive.
Okay.
Okay, because it'll scare some
Yeah.
people off. They'll go, "Oh, that's
Right.
like psychic stuff." Um, But we're all intuitive,
Yeah.
to some degree. But I work intuitively, so when I'm talking to someone and they might be saying, "This is what I want to do," and I'll go, "This, I'm getting this is gonna be," because I get the goosebumps, and I say, "But I'm getting that this might be a really great name for the product that you're going to create, or the program that you want to do. What if you called it this?" Or I'll just come up with some weird concept or idea. But it's because I'm tapping into something that is not completely from me, but that the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, is going, yes, yes, that's the thing. And that's when I get the goosebumps.
I freaking love that so much.
So cool.
I
You
need
guys
to tell
get
something.
goosebumps, don't you get goosebumps?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't know
yeah,
the
for sure.
goosebumps, but they're the random, like, I got to go do this right now sort of things. Like, that.
Jessica Jansen nudges.
Yeah.
We had a
ones.
guest talk about following the nudges and following like when you get a little like, you should do that. Yeah.
And that's
I
usually accompanied by some physical thing that happens.
Yep.
And it's just
100%.
listening to it and not going, oh, shush,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
what I think
100%.
most of us do is, and I think truthfully, circling back to that power your mom gave you as a kid and giving you that power to say things, like, I think it's so often, and I've been guilty of doing this myself in those small moments where there's like, can you wear this? You should wear this today, Mom. And they go, no, that doesn't match my outfit. And you don't wear it, right? It's this one little moment where if you just said, yes, I'll wear that bracelet. And even if you think, I'm going to a really intense business meeting, I cannot wear the macaroni bracelet to this. It's like you wear it and you just take it off in the car and you put it back on when you come
Yes.
home, right? Like they
Yeah.
don't know. And that moment is so empowering, and those little moments all the way through create someone who grows up believing that the things that they think and say are important, and
Yes.
someone who doesn't, who grows up shushing those ones because all of theirs were shushed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You just summed up. You just did.
So good.
Summed up the answer to life right there.
Right.
One of the things, but I just sorry, go ahead, Melissa.
No,
I
you
just
go.
think that conversation that just ties into why you're so good at that inner knowing, why you're so good at just being like, no, but this is what it's got to be, not what it's got to be, but this is what I'm really confident is going to make you successful. And it's because somebody, your mom in this case, and I'm sure other people, empowered you along the way to believe that those inner thoughts were the right move. And so many of us are not empowered that way growing up. And so
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what else I was going to say about that, but I just think that's beautiful.
As opposed to I totally agree. And as opposed to the opposite where, maybe a lot of parents try to convince their kids that their thoughts and ideas are not as valuable. And that's...
You're not hurt. You're fine. Get up, walk it off.
Right?
No, it's really broken.
Like,
I can't walk.
it really is. I agree. It really is beautiful.
We as children, we look to our caregivers for recognition, right? And even if you fall, if you're trying to ride a bike and you fall and you scrape your knee and you're bleeding, right? A lot of times the pain or the what you felt when you fell is pretty bad, but you look and you're bleeding, and the first thing you do is you look at your parents to see, like, am I gonna die? You're looking at them right away. And if they're like, oh, it's all gonna be okay, and they kiss the boo boo, and you're gonna be all right. Here, let's put this thing on. You're like, oh, okay. Now, if they're freaking out, right? If you look at them and they're like, oh, jeez, or they're mad at you, they're angry at you for falling, then it really it can carry with you, right?
Yeah.
So
100%.
it's so important as parents, how we treat our kids, how we react to them. And like you said, take the macaroni bracelet and just, put it in your, little area in your car. And then when you come home, put it back on. They don't need to know that you took it off. Or even better, you know what? Wear that macaroni bracelet to the meeting and go, you know what? I love my kids so much that I wore this thing.
I'm wearing macaroni to a business meeting.
Yeah. So I can handle that account, or so I can be the manager of the station.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah.
I can wear macaroni.
Yes.
wear macaroni
Absolutely.
So much.
and make it work.
And make it
Yeah.
work. Yeah, I mean, it's
love
really
it
the
so
energy you bring behind the macaroni. Are you ashamed of the macaroni bracelet, or are you owning the macaroni bracelet? Because that
Right.
is
Girl,
gonna be
you
what
just
this-
It's
gonna
just
be
got
what
into
changes
my
it.
little stylist heart. That's it. It's how you walk into the room.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever struggle with imposter syndrome now?
No, not really. Because I know what it is. It doesn't even creep up anymore, really. I'm trying to like think of the last time that I had it. No, not really. Because I think I've had enough of those experiences where that's scary, scary, scary. And then I've kind of walked through it and I go, oh my God, that was great. That wasn't so bad. Right. And I'm also not afraid to make a mistake. This is the other thing. If we, as growing up too, as kids, are terrified of not being perfect, of terrified of making a mistake, people are going to laugh at me, or I'm not even going to bother doing it unless I do it perfectly. We're not going to grow. I've grown by doing mistakes, by, I forgot to hit record. I've grown by doing those things. And it's so important that we don't look at things as failures. We just look at them as growing experiences, right? Okay, so when I did that last time, it didn't work out, or I ruined the dinner. Next time I'm going to do this. And so instead of beating yourself up about that dinner, let's make something else. Let's make something new. So I think I've had enough trials and tribulations that I'm pretty good about the imposter syndrome thing. I feel confident enough, that when it creeps up, starts to come up, I go, what are you doing here? Right?
Yeah.
Get away.
Did it start a little bit when you first started your coaching business? Was there a little bit of it at the beginning of that, or was it already gone by then?
It was gone by then.
Wow.
Damn.
I love
Yeah.
that.
Do you know what I love about that? That tells us all that it is possible to tell that
Mm-hmm.
fucker to leave. Excuse
Mm-hmm.
my French. Sorry, Mom. Um it tells us all, and like you are just such a shining example of what it's like to kick imposter syndrome to the curb and say, nope, I got this.
Yeah.
And that it is, like, I don't know that I've ever spoken to somebody that has been able to say, no, not anymore. I freaking love that. It's so encouraging.
I think it's kind of like, learning how to drive. When you first learn how to drive, you're like so hyper aware of everything, and you hit the brakes like a little too hard when you're
Yeah.
stopping, and you forget the signal, and you're hitting the windshield wipers instead of the turn signal. You're just hyper vigilant. And then after a while, when you're driving, I've been driving for many, many, many years. Now, sometimes I don't even know how I got to my destination. I'm like, damn, I just got here. I don't even know how I got here.
Yes.
Right?
Totally.
Okay,
But
but
I
what
got
about
there
when you switch to
safely
the
and I
other?
didn't kill anybody.
What about when you switch to the other side of the road, though? I mean,
Oh, that was a learning curve. Okay, that was. I did go down one time, went down a street the wrong way, and my wife was like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I said this is
I'm learning.
hard. My whole life I was in, I was in California my whole life driving, and then I came to Australia, and I was like, first of all, I kept getting into I was getting
Wrong
into
side of the car.
yeah, the passenger side,
This is a growth
but now I've
opportunity,
got it.
okay? I'm
And
learning
then
and growing.
we recently went back. We went back to America and well for my birthday in November, and we went to Maui, and we had to rent a car because we were there for 10 days. And I got the rent a car, and then I was like, I get okay. So I said, let's just let me just get settled here.
Let me just reacclimatize myself here.
Just getting out of the airport, getting out of the rental car place, I was terrified because I was so used to driving in Australia. I was like, just let me, okay. And I was the slowest. I was that person that you're driving behind, going, can you please drive the speed limit? Can you go any faster? I was so scared. My hands were gripping the wheel like. "Ugh."
Oh my
But then after a
gosh.
while, you get back to it.
I love it. Like the movie The Holiday where she's just like screaming.
It's it was that.
Yeah. I I I can't even imagine. Sammy, have you ever driven on the wrong side of the road? Like
Once,
been in a
but
country where it's
oh,
legal
yes.
to drive on the wrong side of the road is what I'm saying.
Yes, I have. But I
I
don't.
have not.
I don't think. Yeah, I
Ever
did when we
driven.
were in Ireland, but I barely drove because I technically wasn't legally old enough to be renting a car. So I only drove when
Oh.
he was drunk.
Oh, that's
Sorry.
good.
just down the road. It wasn't very far. But no.
Oh, that's too funny.
I mean, I've been in other
Wow.
countries, like I've been in Australia and stuff, but I didn't drive. I was just in the car. Anyways, is there anything, Christine, that's really on your heart today that you would really like to share about, whether it comes to something about yourself or something about working with your clients that we haven't asked you about, that's something that's really you'd like to talk about?
No, I want to leave you with the mantra that I have at the bottom of my uh, pages of my website. Every page on my website has at the very bottom this mantra phrase, and I want you to really take it to heart. And it is this. It says, "Remember this: if you're not seen and heard, you're not hired." That
Oh,
is something that I tell my clients constantly. If you're not seen and heard, you're not hired. Meaning, if you are going to allow imposter syndrome to stop you and you're not going to get out and do those videos or write those blogs or do those social media posts or do those lives or speaking engagements, you won't be hired.
Yes.
So if you say to the outside world, I want to be a successful coach, but then you're not doing the things that get the message out about who you are and what you do and how you help people, nobody's going to hire you. It's
Yes.
it's pretty simple, but at the same time we forget about it sometimes.
yeah.
So that's the
So good.
important message. I want you write those blogs, create those podcasts, write those books, those articles, show up on social media. You have a film crew in your pocket called a cell phone. The technology is such that you can create an empire from your phone, but you got to do it, right? It's
Yeah.
not going to do
Yes.
itself. You got to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really
Damn.
great thing. Thank you so much. I just had another question come up that I really want to ask that just occurred to me while you were saying that. When you're talking about that being seen, if you're not heard, you won't be hired. Um, you're teaching people how to show up with their businesses in an online context, whether it's their social media or their website or whatever it may be. Is there coaching that you do with people about their persona when they're out and about
Yeah.
in the world? Yeah.
That's all about the branding and the messaging. And coming up with the signature
Awesome.
story. And when we come up with a signature story, that might be something that they use uh, in their social media. That signature story, right? It's not the rags to riches story, but it's sort of like the hero's journey, right? If you listen to Joseph Campbell or understand the Star Wars concept, right? That hero's journey, those are important to have, those signature stories, so that you can be remembered. That's the thing, is that you want to be remembered by people and what you left people with, so that when you're done speaking, or if they've read your books or whatever, that they've got a feeling inside, that they've experienced you. And what does that leave them with? Do they feel good? Do they feel happy? Do they feel more knowledgeable? They feel, oh, I know now about this particular topic. I feel good about that. So it's really about the branding and the messaging, and we can do that through signature stories and knowing what stories to pull out depending on the audience, right? So you two are amazing, lovely, wonderful. So I could tell you everything, all the skeletons in my closet. So, and I feel very comfortable. Now there might be another show that I would be on, and the audience would be a different type of audience. So my story would be something a little bit different, so that they could relate to me, right? So it just depends on the audience, depends on what your goals are. But yeah, we can work on that.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
No, I was just thinking about that because I think there's so much to our social media presence, and what was going through my brain is a shift that I heard someone say that made was something that I was like, oh, that will shift my not only the way that I represent myself, but also my belief in myself. Was I would always, whenever people would ask, well, what do you do? I'd be like, oh, well, I run a podcast. And they'd go, what's your podcast about? And I have to say it. And I was at an event a couple months ago, and the girl who was running the event, when she was introducing me to people, she didn't say she runs a podcast. She would say she runs the Happy Soul podcast. And it was like, the wording, right? Instead of saying she runs a podcast, it was like she runs the Happy Soul podcast. And it's like, you
The
need, the
Yeah.
way she says, you need to know about this. There was the
Yes.
tone, right? And I was like, I need to do that. And I keep catching myself being like, I run a podcast. I run the Happy Soul podcast. But it's that whole, how you show up online and who you want to be also needs to become who you are. Not like who you are always, but who you are and how you represent yourself when you're out in the world, because that's going to stand out too. So that was why I was curious
Yeah.
if that tied
And
in.
it's your avatar. That's why the first thing I do with clients that work with me, the very first thing we do is we create a media kit. And that media kit is not just so much, that's something like a one, this is a one pager, but mine is like 4 pages. But the media kit, it's it's great because you can send it out to people, podcasters, speakers, bureaus, and things like that. But it's more so, I actually have them create this for them, and I say put it right in front of your computer, so you can look at it, and you will be able to be reminded of your avatar, of who you want to portray yourself as, right?
Love that.
So that when the imposter syndrome thing happens, or something, you get knocked off your base, you can look at that. And for the longest time, I was like, oh, I'm a media consultant, I'm a this, I'm a that, I'm a podcast coach. And then when I came to, oh, I'm actually an expert authority coach. And instead of saying a expert authority coach or just expert, I did just like you were saying, the expert authority coach. And right now I'm in the process of trademarking the name because
Ooh.
when they get the little TM next to it, it's going to look really good.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yes.
but yeah, so
Damn.
it's claiming your power, right? It's claiming who you are. There are people on TikTok that are making a fortune and they're the mom who can feed a family of 5 for $20,
Yeah.
This is
right?
wild. Yes.
Yeah. But they're the ones,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
So
Oh my gosh.
whatever
that's
it is that
amazing.
you're passionate about, yeah, but claim it and be confident in it. You
Oh my
are
gosh.
you are the Happy Soul podcast, both of you. You make it happy and soulful.
We do our
I
best.
love it. We do
Oh
our
my
best.
gosh. Christine,
Oh,
that was so good. I
we're
like
so grateful.
so grateful. Thank you so much for
You're
joining us today. Like it's just your energy, honestly, like I feel like somebody probably leaves a discovery call with you and is like, "Oh my God, I can't wait to work with her." Like I
I'm
can't
taking
imagine.
over the world
Yeah,
now.
I can't imagine anybody walks away and is like, "No, thanks." I mean, maybe some people, but you probably don't want to work with them anyway, so it's fine.
no,
But
well, and we all have our own. We will always have our own because I can, in listen, in 30 minutes, I can only do so much, especially if there's an imposter syndrome, uh, you know, pandemic running within that person, and
mhm.
so they could be excited and then get off the call, and then those negative voices come in, So I can only do so much in that time. That's why it's important for me to have high touch points with clients. That's why I like working with people every single week. It's an
So good.
accountability thing. They need to be accountable to their own dreams. And I'm just making sure that they continue and that they are on track. So
So good.
just doing a one off or 30-minute thing may not be the spark that they really need to follow through, but having that regular contact with them, then they do. Then they have that ability because they're like, shoot, I got to meet Christine and you know tomorrow, and I haven't done the thing I said I was gonna do. Okay, I better do it. Right?
So freaking good.
You you two are
So
lovely.
freaking good.
I had so
Oh,
much
you're
fun.
lovely too. We're just so grateful for you to spend your afternoon. Is it afternoon for you right
Afternoon, yeah,
now?
afternoon with us.
Yes, yes, it is.
Thank you
Yes.
for spending your afternoon with us. We're just like,
My
we're so
pleasure.
grateful. I agree with Sammy. We love your energy. And we're like, dang, I got notes. I got.
Take
So
care
much.
now.
Have a great
You
day.
too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, she's so great.
Sammy.
So glad I said yes to her.
Dang. Oh my gosh. I freaking love her. Okay. I was like, the amount, like, I just kept writing shit down. And like, one thing that I kept, and I didn't want to keep like telling stories about myself in an interview with her. But one thing that came up for me, and I just have to spit it out. Is because we're talking about imposter syndrome, and she's talking about syndrome, and like how to heal that. And we're talking about, when she told the story about getting that gift from her mom and following her gifts and making it about how you serve the other people, this kept coming into my brain the entire time. I grew up, like, as you know, I grew up cradle Catholic, which means I was Catholic from birth. And one of the things my mom has drilled into me as a little girl, I remember this lesson as a little girl. And if you pull out the Catholicism of it, if you will, or the biblical nature of it, if you will, and just take the lesson out of it, then it's for everybody. This is not just a religious thing. This is for everybody. So one thing that she drilled into me was that the things that you're good at and the things that you're passionate about, they're a gift. And in the language of, how it was taught to me, they're a gift from God. And it is actually, it's actually sinful to not pursue that.
Mm-hmm.
Because you were built to do that. Something that lights your soul on fire, you were made for that. So however you go about doing that or pursuing that, it doesn't have to be in a financial way. It can be, but however you go about doing that, it's this is how it was taught to me. not only is it something that instead of like, oh, poo poo on you, you have this little thing that you like. No, that is put into you for a reason. And it's actually going against yourself. And again, with the language, going against God to not pursue that in a way, because that is a gift that's been given to you for the good of the world. Because again, when she said that thing about the service to people, I was like, yes, hell yes. Just a funny thing to say after saying all that stuff about God, but right? Anyways, I just wanted to share that because like I said, not everybody is religious, but you can take the religious context out of it and say like, you know, when she's talking about the zone of genius, that doesn't have to be something you went to school for. That is something that is in you. And we all have some sort of zone of genius. We all have something that we are inherently good at or have a strong opinion about that comes from something. And I think we're all built to help people out in a, I don't know, in some way or another. Anyways, I just wanted to share that. But
no, I think, and
tell
it's
me your
interesting.
thoughts.
I think it's interesting when we have these conversations because so often the conversation comes up and it either relates to a conversation you and I were just having or like a thought. And for me, that she had there was something she said that was conversations you and I have recently been having, and many things she said that were just thoughts I've recently been having, like in the last 2 days. When I say recently, I mean like within the last 2 days. And one of them was this concept of, I'm not going to be able to word it very eloquently here, but just what you're talking about with those gifts, the thing you're passionate about. And I'm like, for me, the passions I had, like from the time I was very little, was like was about finding and having a great relationship and having kids and spending as much time with those children as I possibly could. Like I know some people just say like, and I'm not saying one's good, bad, right or wrong. This is just was for me.
This is you.
And yeah, for me and traveling the world was a big one. But those are the things that were important to me. Nothing else mattered to me. And I know that sounds silly, especially for people who...
stop that.
Okay, fine. But if you're somebody who pursued a career and career was what your goal was, that sounds weird because... And I've had this conversation with career-driven people before because it is weird to them. And to think about the fact that what I was really passionate about around like just having kids was like the baseline human experience. Do you know what I mean? Like... baseline animal experience is that you are going to survive, you are going to reproduce, and you will die. Like that's baseline, right? Like unless you have choices around it. And so I think for some people it's like, well, that's the baseline experience and that's all you wanted. And I'm like, but for me, it wasn't just birthing those children and saying that I'm a parent. It was like spending all day with them, investing myself in those kids. And I'm not saying that other people don't do that when they work. That's not what I mean. I mean, my definition of investing in my children was spending as much time as humanly possible with them, being with them all day long. Especially, I didn't know what the age range was at the time, but I've come to discover like until the age of 3. After they turn 3, I feel a lot more comfortable like with doing babysitters or care. And my kids are still fully home with me. But really, I realized it was around that age of 3-ish for each kid that I became comfortable with them being with somebody else. I still put them with babysitters beforehand, but not on a regular basis. Yeah. And now I feel more comfortable with it now that they're all over that age. And anyways, my point in saying this is as I was thinking about this and I think about like, your gift and whatever it may be, and it's like for some people that gift that they've been given that is their passion, and like honestly I am passionate about holding space for people and sharing their stories, and that's always been something in everything I've ever done that in work wise that I've always loved was talking to people and empowering people in that way, the way that we do here and the way that I've done in other jobs. But what I'm talking specifically about with my kids, for some people, for someone who's very career driven, if that is their passion and their purpose, it is for them to fulfill whatever comes from them pursuing that career. Do you know what I mean? Like that's the trajectory. It is their career and the people they impact along that way. For me, I would absolutely be, I mean, don't get me wrong. There is parts of my brain that would love to be like kind of famous and have people know who I am and speak on stages and be stupid wealthy and those kinds of things. Like they're like, I wouldn't pass that up, but it's not like a passion that I like need to make happen. Do you know what I mean? If I think about it, if I would trade time with my kids to pursue that, I absolutely would not. But
because you have your I think that whatever that is, that drive in you,
Uh-huh.
That is who you are, and that's like that's been planted in you. That's who you are. That is your gift that you are. I think that everybody's, I don't know how to like properly vocalize this.
Can I
I'm
say this
trying
part
to like
before
find my
before I
words.
get where I was
Yes,
going? I just
please.
want to finish this part because I think
Yeah.
for me is like I want my kids to be the one who go and do something great. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not about me, and I'm not saying that like I'm so unselfish, like look at me. I just mean like that's what's important to me is that I set my kids up to do the best that they can and believe in themselves and know that they can and pursue whatever is important to me. And I'm not saying that working parents can't do that. That is not what I'm saying. I'm just saying for me, that is my sole focus. That is my sole purpose. Like that, it isn't
It's beautiful.
beyond that. And so I think that gift thing you can find it in different ways. And I also think that people who don't pursue those gifts because society told them not to, because they didn't believe in themselves, whatever it may be that chose not to, I honestly think those are the people who end up being really miserable in life, end up probably being absent parents. If they become parents, they're very absent because they're not doing what lights them up and they're just doing what society told them to do.
Yeah.
That's
or
what I
told
think.
them that they should do. Right? Yeah, 100%.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I just really
No,
wanted to
you
finish
didn't.
that point.
No. I'm sorry I interrupted. No, for sure. And that, I mean, like that goes back to what she said. And I freaking love this line so much. Like when she said it, I'm sure my face did all the face things. When she said, it's not about you, it's about who you serve. I was like, damn. Right? So, I mean, you just said it.
Yeah.
Right? And however that looks, like that's going to look and sound different to everybody. Right?
Yeah.
But I freaking love that. I love when she said that. I was like, oh my God.
So good.
Anyway, I love it. Okay, I want to know from our guests, I want to know if like, have you struggled with imposter syndrome and where you're at in that journey? So I think, something Sammy and you and I've talked about is kind of like, let's keep the conversation rolling. And we want to hear from you. If you have struggled with imposter syndrome, let's talk about it on Instagram. Let's chat about it. We're going to post some reels and stuff and tell us if you've struggled with imposter syndrome and if you were struck by any of the things that Christine said today. I know I was, like, so many times.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. To help support the growth of this podcast, please feel free to leave us a review, follow us on socials, or recommend us to your friends. Your support honestly means the world to us. With love, Sammy and Melissa.